Yeah, sometimes they like throw a scene where she attacks someone. It's like, oh yeah, look at my waifu. She's so independent and strong. Yeah,
Yeah,
fuck
which is,
yeah.
you know what?
It's so fucking
You know
stupid
what?
because
That's
she's just
exactly.
like.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark, the podcast that delves into all things anime, manga, and otaku culture related. I am your host, Sho, and tonight I have our Wizard of Wait What, Chinoda,
I'm back, baby!
and our ex-host, ex-senpai, and ex-seme, Alex.
Oh my fucking god, you piece of...
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
You are absolutely disgusting.
Wait, why are you the ex? The fuck happened? What did I miss?
I'm the host now,
He
bitch.
took over. It's a hostile takeover, guys.
Oh shit, that's pretty sexy. Let's go.
So, along those lines of that poor JoJo's reference, today we're going to talk about Shounen anime and manga and all the adolescent screaming that comes along with it. Looking at you, Asta from Black Clover and Aaron from Attack on Titan.
And any
Sigh.
shonen period.
Yeah, basically.
Isn't that that's just a blanket call out, right?
Yes, to every. Hey, okay, actually, I really like when Shonen protagonists scream. I think it's really hot. Okay, like everyone hates on them, but it's so cute. They're like crying. Okay, whatever. It doesn't work for Asta though because he sounds like shit. Okay, every other
Show, we'll get to it. We'll get to
Yeah,
it.
just
Okay, so our first order of business for this show is to actually define what shonen means to you and me and all of us out there. So I guess I'll just start with a really basic interpretation of shonen, which would be shonen as a demographic, as in the magazines that publish manga have the demographic listed as targeting young boys, aka shonen. So any manga in shonen magazines are shonen manga, and any anime adapted from shonen manga are therefore shonen anime. And this is the accurate definition that everyone should be using, but they don't. And I'm sure, Alex, you have a contradicting definition that you're just bursting to let me know about.
I mean, the first part of what you said, I completely agree with. I think that shonen is aimed at a certain demographic that is young, adolescent boys. I mean, obviously it has a bigger following than that. There's a lot of people watch shonen, girls watch shonen, adults watch shonen. Young people who are younger than 10 watch shonen. I just think it's more of a mindset of what your story entails than where it actually appears. Like if it has those check boxes of you have the adolescent hero, you have the this perpetual like antagonist that goes throughout the series. I mean, it's stuff like that defines shonen for me, not necessarily where it appears in a magazine or on TV.
I guess you could say that.
Don't forget
and
the
that's what
big
a
boob
lot of
love interest.
Oh, fuck off.
big boobed.
Fuck off with your big boob lug of interest.
Oh God. Well, yeah, a lot of people use shonen colloquially. God, I can speak. To refer to the set of tropes that we commonly attribute to this demographic, which is like you said, you have the protagonist that like is naive and is all about justice and wants to set everything right, and then he goes out on a journey and like he faces trials and he like accumulates powers or whatever, accumulates skills, and then he faces the ultimate antagonist, and then it's all done. And that can be seen as you can extrapolate from the demographic and turn it into a genre by attributing those or amalgamating those tropes together and like seeing all the different shows that follow those traits instead of just looking at what the publishers have said what demographic the show is intended for. And there are a lot of instances where shows that are not listed as shonen follow the tropes, like Kill la Kill. or shows that are listed as shonen but do not follow the tropes at all, like Dagashi Kashi or Death Note.
Takashi Kashi, Jesus Christ. How is that
That's the
even a
best
shonen?
It's intended for male that are young.
And love candy.
I see that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So my personal definition of shonen is that your main character has a clear goal, like becoming Hokage, and then with that goal in mind, he goes on a journey to achieve it, and then he progresses towards the goal incrementally, and then he finally reaches it. And that's like the basic structure that I would see as the shonen quote unquote genre that people refer to.
What about you, Chinoda? How do you define shonen?
How do I define shonen? Well, I get a very fantastical experience of and
Wow.
just about
Oh
12
my
minutes
God.
of that.
Is that like an audio version of an erection?
I mean, you would hear a lot more pants ripping if that was the case. Oh, and generally screaming someone's name. Doesn't necessarily matter whose. My favorite happens to be Sasuke, but that's just a personal thing.
Sasuke!
You can yell whoever's name. Hell, do it with your friends IRL. That's even more fun. Everyone will be confused, and someone will want to punch you.
Word of warning: if you're gonna do this, don't do this in an airport. They will
Yeah,
arrest
no,
you.
seriously. And you might actually get tased or shot, depending on which airport
both.
you're at. Or both. And if you're brown, you get waterboarded.
Wow.
Sound like you know this from personal experience.
Let's not talk about my past.
So really, how was Otakon?
Anyway, but no, I actually agree with the definitions you guys gave. It's very basic. It's simple to see, simple to understand. It's rather basic, but it has its entertainment, which is one of the reasons why it draws a lot of people in, especially the more younger, less experienced crowd, because they don't know how to identify tropes or see what's so stereotypical about these animes as well, and will be drawn into these things multiple times over and over until they actually start to gain an understanding of what is just repetitive and what isn't and actually stands out from the crowd.
Not sure if you're complimenting or insulting the genre.
I was thinking the
Yes.
exact same thing. Like, is he giving this a compliment? No, maybe. I don't know.
So, do you think there's anything that you genuinely find like fun and good about shonen?
Honestly, yeah, I do love watching it. I will say that. I'm watching Boruto, I'm watching Dragon Ball Super, I'm watching a couple others as well. I still enjoy it.
Are you trying to say that you are part of that like newbie generation that you just described?
Bitch, I've been part of this for long as the fuck
Oh my
newbie.
God.
I'm gonna fucking snap your nipple off. Fuck
Oh
you.
my god!
Call me a noob.
think
I enjoy
you've
it
angered the
because
beast.
it's.
You have angered the beast.
I've been here less than 10 minutes. God damn it! No wonder I stopped doing this shit.
Well, before he actually tears into you and literally tears you into an asshole, I would like to add something to the definition that I said a few minutes ago. And like up until now, we've all said that we haven't said, we've implied that the main character of a shonen has to be a male. I don't believe that. I believe that you can have a female lead character in a shonen. I mean, Soul Eater.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Sure. It's just less common.
Oh, it's not very common at all. I mean, I'm just saying that you can still have a shonen with a female lead character. It's not impossible.
Like Fairy Tail. It's a horrible example.
I was gonna bring up a good example, but if you want to bring up a shitty example, yes, Fairy Tail.
I'm trying to debunk your point by shading you by bringing up quote unquote decent examples.
JoJo's Part 6.
Oh god. Yeah, along with the definition, I also forgot to mention that shonen tends to heavily be inspired by the hero's journey based on like the ancient myths and I know a lot of things are inspired by the hero's journey, but Shonen kind of like really,
adheres
really
by that.
almost
Deeply
one for
ingrained.
one.
Deeply ingrained.
Yeah, yeah.
It's almost the
So,
rule
there's
set
that.
for producing a shonen.
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
much.
I mean, it's kind of it has to be, especially if it's a long running shonen. If it's a long running shonen, you have to have a central character that changes over time. Otherwise, it's boring as fuck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some could argue it's still boring as fuck.
Well, yeah, it can be, but that's usually because of other things.
Oh my. Okay, before we get into the negatives, do we have any more positive things to say about Shonen?
I mean,
Well, at least
I think
Go
I think
ahead.
there are certain strengths that it has, which kind of leads into the next point I think you were gonna make.
I mean, I thought I just naturally segued anyways. But let's talk about the good things we think about Shonen.
I got something right off the bat that I want to say.
What would you-
Shonen seems to be a natural gateway genre.
Oh
I
my
don't.
God, that backhanded compliment.
I'm
It
not-
is.
Same as Shinoda.
Wow. I wasn't trying to be backhanded about it, but sure, if you want to be that way. No, I genuinely think this. I think there's a lot of people, especially people my age, people in their mid to late 20s, who got into anime, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, because of Shonen. You watched Dragon Ball Z, you watched Naruto,
Inuyasha.
One Piece, you watched, what else? Fucking Bleach. Trying to think of what else was on TV back then, but that's about it.
Inuyasha.
Inuyasha, yes, that was another one. God, I stayed up late way too many nights at a very young age to watch that show.
Oh my.
I still love it though.
Afro Samurai.
That was a little later though.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But yeah, it was just
Either way.
It seems to function as a natural gateway, and there's still a lot of young people who get into anime through shonen. I mean, I think there's a lot of us on this podcast. I think you guys both got into anime through shonen, didn't you?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's funny because when I was a kid and I first saw Dragon Ball Z, I thought it was absolutely disgusting and gross.
Me
because
too!
Boys are icky, and I don't want to see boys stripping in front of me. That's just gross. Okay, so
How ironic.
no, excuse you. They were like all naked and screaming, and I was like, "Stop! This is too much." I found that really like disturbing. Okay. Okay, but like I say that, but now I want all the boys naked and screaming.
Jesus Christ.
Flashback like 5 minutes ago.
As I said, how ironic.
Anyway, technically I did get into anime with shonen because of Death Note is where I got into it, but that's not really
That's not a
that's a
show.
demographight, not a genre.
It's
So
not a
it's not
shonen.
what
I'm
you really-
sorry, but it's not.
Talk to the shonen publishers. Okay.
It's a seinen.
Uh-huh. It wasn't marketed towards men. Anyway. So besides all of your backhanded compliments, I think
Compliment.
Okay,
Jesus
okay.
Christ.
Let's get this straight real quick. There's nothing wrong with it being a gateway genre. Nothing at all. In fact, it's a good thing that there's at least something like that that's simple
Yeah, I
that
think there-
people
I think
can
there-
actually get into.
I think there are other gateway things in anime besides the shonen genre. I mean, Ghibli movies are a great gateway into anime.
Oh, definitely.
They're not shonen. Most.
Definitely, but let's be real. Shonen animes are one of the bigger gateway genres to
Oh, yeah.
anime. Period. And
Especially when you're talking about TV shows.
exactly, and there's just nothing wrong with that. Like, if that's what you start off, if that's what you are doing, it's okay, perfectly fine.
so. Okay, besides it being a gateway anime genre, do you think that shonen can like hold its own for experienced anime watchers? Like, is there anything good about shonen if you're already into the medium and you're looking for something interesting?
I think so. I mean, you kind of got to look for it. It's not on the surface, but there are interesting shonen out there that are made. I mean, Food Wars is a good example of this. I mean, if you listen to the podcast for any length of time, you know that I'm kind of down on modern shonen in general, but I think that Food Wars is a great example of how good a shonen can be, especially a modern shonen, in the sense that it takes sort of these shonen tropes and flips them around a little bit to where, yeah, it still has a lot of that stuff, but it's in different settings. It's in a different mindset. I mean, it's in a school, but it's a culinary school, and instead of having to fight with their fists and feet, they're fighting with their minds.
So you think that like fighting with your fists is outdated?
I think that it's been done so much that it's hard to make it interesting. It can still be interesting, but it's just harder and harder to make it interesting, especially if you are an experienced anime watcher and you've watched a lot of shonen before. I think so. Yeah.
Well, well, something that I find that shonen does really well, even beyond being your gateway anime, is that shonen stories tend to have a really amazing world building. Their settings tend to be really vast and interesting and diverse. And I think that's one of its biggest strengths, because there's definitely an appeal to the curiosity of the viewer to see like what more of this world is there, what more can I see about it. And stuff that makes me say this is shows like Hunter x Hunter, with its vast endless world of different places that that the characters hop between, and all the different
Abilities.
I believe you mispronounced
Yes,
that. I believe it's pronounced hiatus.
Fuck you.
that, yeah, sure. And alongside Hunter x Hunter, I all like shows like Maji, which are really exotic but also interesting in that all their different they have like they craft their own version of the world that has all these fantastical elements to it, and it makes for a really interesting viewing experience. So I think that's one thing that shonen does really well, that the shonen sort of tropes lend towards making these really extravagant and large worlds. So that's one thing that definitely kept me hooked into the genre for a time.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. Especially for longer running shonen, you have an opportunity to do a lot of world building, and there are some that do it really well, and then there's some that kind of they have an opportunity to do it and they just don't.
Like FMA, no, I'm joking.
I was about to say, really, you really want to open that can of worms? All right.
You thought the world building was good in FMA, didn't
I
you?
do. I think the world building is great. I certainly think that the character building in that show is great.
Oh my god.
I definitely
That's
love it.
literally my biggest issue with the show.
Oh my
is the
God.
characters. They're so boring and uninteresting. Like, what?
Just
Don't sigh at me.
We're sighing
Don't
at
sigh
you.
at
Fuck
the
you.
truth.
just unfathomable,
Oh my
inconceivable.
God. Literally. Anyways. This is supposed to be the positive side of the cast. Oh.
Shinoda, what's positive about anime? You happy fucker.
The fuck? Why do I need to be happy? Fuck you. I don't like being happy. So for me, shonen, there's plenty of things that I can love, but one of the things I can really like is a long-standing story that has constant character evolution or just different things happening. One of my favorites, absolute favorites, Dragon Ball Super. It's airing right now, and there's still different things happening. There's still more to go on, and I really appreciate that. Not to mention, over the years, characters have changed. There's new things to them while they still remain true to themselves. It's really nice to see that and to watch it as we've grown along throughout the ages.
Still disgusting.
Extremely, but hey, I love what I love.
I just don't.
If you
I
have
don't.
time for
I
that.
don't understand. Yeah, exactly.
If you got the time.
Don't understand the appeal of Dragon Ball Z. I'm sorry. I've tried it. I've tried a couple different iterations of it. I can't do it. I can't do it.
That's perfectly fine. If you don't get it, you don't get it. Like, there's not much else to it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. There's no need for you to force yourself to like it.
You just don't understand it.
I
No,
know,
it's-
right?
It's too beyond you.
I mean, there's other strengths though. I think that Shonen has. I think, well, Shinoda actually just talked about it. It allows for great depth character for the longer running shonens. I mean, when you're with these characters for 100, 200 plus shows, it helps if you're gonna learn, if you can learn about them along the way, and especially if you can watch them grow. I mean, when done well, it can be some of the most entertaining stuff to, especially when you get to watch someone grow over that many episodes. It's like actually growing up with someone.
Yeah, shonen tends to be a lot about the self-improvement of the main character, either like psychologically or like physically, power-wise, or like supernaturally or whatever. But it's still like it's really interesting watching characters go from like relatively nothing and then just better themselves constantly. It's really fulfilling to see that, and I agree, that's definitely a great appeal point of shonen shows.
Yeah. I got nothing else though. I'm waiting for the next section. I got way more for that.
No, okay. I still have a. Oh my god! Stop. Let's stick with the positive. I have some more positive things. Okay, like a pretty obvious one is that shonen stories lend well to action. So there's a lot of opportunities for fight sequences, and that's just great to watch. And like, if you get a good studio animating it, then it's like really really hype and amazing to see all the different choreography. So I would be lying if I was saying that the fight sequences weren't something that I definitely look forward to in shonen. The one that stands out to me is not even an anime. It is an anime, but I hate the anime. I'm talking about the manga for Akame ga Kill.
Oh god.
One of the main appeals of reading that manga for me was how well they drew the fight sequences, and I still love that art style of how the author choreographed everything. But there are other things that I have issues with, but
I have to ask.
art style
No. What about that ending though?
is good. Shut up. The fight sequences in the ending were hella hype, but everything else was shit. And another positive thing, which might only be me because I'm a slut, but I find shonen character designs to be like the hottest and the cutest, and just like the way they make the characters like really chubby, and it's like so moe, and I'm like, oh my god, you're so cute. And also the outfits are so like fantastical and interesting and not boring high school bitches. So yeah, like my wait, who the fuck is talking behind my back? Oh my god.
Hold on. Just keep going.
Okay, my case in point for hot shonen boys is Seraph of the End, which has the hottest guys and pretty hot girls as well. And basically like any shonen or every shonen has hot guys in it. So that is one thing that I appreciate.
Every shonen?
The genre.
Every single shonen?
I'm sure you can find one hot guy in any shonen.
Really? One Piece?
Oh, that's a hard one. you found the exception.
That great character designs.
Oh no! Oh no!
Great character
Oh
design.
no! Ugh. Oh god!
Ugh.
You made me
Hear that
nightmares.
shudder?
Excuse
Just
you.
that visible shudder.
Excuse
Listen,
you.
it's just the character design, not the story. Okay.
Oh man, that was funny.
So yeah, that's all the positive stuff I have to say. So please hit me with the negatives, Alex.
What?
Oh god.
Chino, do you have any more positive stuff before I tear Shonen a new one?
Can I start crying?
I mean,
What?
if you must. I mean, I can't hold you.
Damn, I was counting on that.
Allow me to explain the physical limitations of the universe to you after the show.
Fuck you, wormholes. Let's see, what else positively can I say? Generally fun to watch, turn off your mind and just kick back, relax. Watch it with the homies. So yeah, it's just a generally a fun genre if you want to turn off your mind and watch it. There are some shonens that have more in-depth details that you can actually start picking details over, but until that, well, you can just watch it.
Well, Mr. Sleepyhead Nitai, the poser extraordinaire, has decided to wake up from his nap and come join us. Welcome, Nitai. How are you feeling?
How do you
Well
feel
rested?
now?
Like a fucking cunt, that's how I feel.
You are a fucking cunt.
Only half an hour late.
God damn it.
If you're gonna be late, be a man. Be an hour late. God damn it.
I'm late for a very important date.
What?
Copyright strike. Anyway. Moving on to... Go ahead, show.
Okay, well, now that we've stopped talking about all the good things about shonen, now we can get into the best part of this cast, which is all the shit things that we think that shonen really is, which is just a heap of shit.
Weaknesses. I got one. It's called MHA.
Oh, fuck you.
Oh, don't get me started.
Fuck you.
So is this the MHA Teardown podcast, just to be clear?
No. They're
It is
gonna
now.
get into more than just
No,
MHA.
I'm saying it because I'm ready. No,
It
never
is
mind.
now. That's what it is now.
No, fuck you. I want to tear down Black Clover.
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't even watch it, to be frank.
Oh, watch it. You'll be angry. God.
Why should I watch bad shonen if I can just go ahead and rewatch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for the third time?
So you
That's
can
not the
be
same.
angry
Great
at the world, okay? Fuck you.
Great question.
Dude, was that a motherfucking JoJo's reference?
Yeah.
I'm
I
glad that
don't
we've
even
introduced.
understand.
I'm glad that we've introduced JoJo in the shit shonen section.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
I was
and
ready
fuck-
to like cry about missing the JoJo point in the good section, but okay.
Oh shit!
Oh well.
Yada.
Show straight on fire, bro.
Shinoda, it's been like 5 minutes since I got here and you're dying already. Is everything okay?
I missed you, babe.
Aw, miss you too.
Tsunoda. Boy.
Stop.
Okay, so do any of us want to express our deep hatred for shonen?
I already
Nah.
said that I just MHA, it's terrible. So many people love it. It's absolutely
care to-
god awful.
Expand on why?
Absolutely, I will. Okay, so for reference, I'm so glad you've opened this up to me. So for reference, I only watched the first 5 episodes of season 1.
Wow.
However, I did go and read the first 31 chapters of the manga, after the fact, because everyone's like, "Oh, the manga is just fucking amazing." No, it's fucking not. Okay, first off, it's basically like there was no effort put into the writing of MHA. It's basically like the mangaka went to tvtropes.org, found a bunch of stuff that he liked, and threw it all on the wall and just watched what stuck. And he says, "I'll go with that." I mean, you just have so much just bullshit shonen tropes that are just thrown at you one after the other. You have the fucking kid character who's weak as shit and befriends someone who's like OP as fuck and gets like all of his powers for whatever reason.
Spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers if you haven't seen MHA, but I
I'm joking.
can't recommend you actually watch this show. It just has there's so few unique characters. I feel like the characters themselves were just plucked from other shonen and just thrown into this universe. And it's just it's frustrating to watch that because there's actually a really decent world that was created with MHA. Like I could see the way that the rules of this world work. You could have some interesting stuff happen. It's just nothing interesting is happening.
Hmm.
It's so fucking boring.
I would agree.
And I know that
I
you've
wouldn't.
read the manga way further than I have, and even you say that the story is starting to go around in circles.
Oh yeah. So I've watched both seasons and I've read 154 chapters of the manga, and I hate it.
What? Really?
Yet you still are reading it.
No, I dropped
Oh,
it.
thank
You
God.
dropped it
Thank
completely?
fucking Christ.
I dropped the manga. I don't know how. I probably won't watch season 3.
Oh.
We'll see.
I finally got someone else on my side. Thank Christ.
Yeah, I just okay. Everything about it is boring. The main premise that they're at a school and they're like learning to become heroes could have been fun, but it's actually just boring. It's like they're in school learning things and it's not interesting at all. So that whole premise is boring and they didn't do that well. It's kind of spoilery. Okay, fine. I won't get into details, but the way that Deku chooses to increase his power level is really, really ultra basic and not interesting at all to watch. And that's supposed to be one of the coolest things about Shonen is watching the character improve themselves and get better. But Deku is the format that they chose for him to increase his power level is just so anticlimactic, and it's just there's no I have no investment in seeing Deku improve himself. When he improves himself, I'm I don't care. What am I supposed to look forward to? I don't care at all about Deku and his improvement, and it's boring as hell, as with every aspect of this show.
Okay, how about the side characters when it comes to improvement?
I like the side characters, except that they never followed through on them, and none of the side characters actually developed into proper Like they introduced interesting characters, but they never developed them properly.
You know what? I have a really
Okay.
good comparison to this. MHA is the opposite of Naruto in the sense that Naruto had an enormous cast of characters that it developed, or it dedicated a lot of time to developing every single one of them, and sometimes it went out of its way to develop characters that were incredibly minor, whereas MHA has an enormous cast of characters that it only develops a small handful.
That's true
I
to an
guess.
extent. I will agree with that. But I don't think MAJ is like the worst of the worst of shonen. I think it takes a lot of things from other shonen, you could say, and tries to refine it and make it feel fresh. And sometimes it works, which in my opinion was season 1, and sometimes it doesn't, which is the tournament arc of season 2 especially, which in my opinion was not a good arc at all, except for like maybe 2 episodes, which yeah, it wasn't great, but
Speaking
I don't
of
think
tropes,
Hmm?
Speaking of tropes, let's just have a tournament arc for no reason.
Yeah,
I like the tournament arc trope.
I hate
me
it.
too,
It's
but it
so
was
outdated.
It's
very
so
poor.
fun. Oh my god, fuck you.
It's
It
so
was
80s.
done very poorly in season 2, in my opinion.
It's old, but tournament arcs are a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Sure, but when they make sense and actually like contribute to the entire show, like here's the cool thing about tournament arcs: you get to see like more about each character's motivation and what drives them to succeed. But then MJ says, "Yeah, we'll do that to like 3 characters at best, and then the rest is just a gag after gag." Now, sure, everything you don't need to have everything just like grim and like deep and stuff, but you can still, that's the fun thing about a good show. You can still be entertaining on a like very basic level, but there's more to dig into, like JoJo.
Oh god.
But then the tournament arc says, yeah, let's just now roll clip number 2 for this type of joke, and then let's go to this type of joke, and let's now shove in the more deep stuff so people will get excited about that, and now let's build the hype. And yeah, like the Deku and Todoroki fight in season 2 was great, absolutely loved it, but it's just a fraction of a really poor tournament arc in my opinion. But then season 2 does some other interesting stuff. The only interesting stuff in season 2 was actually the hero killer arc, in my opinion, because it actually started developing more of the characters that I wanted like to further develop in like the series for the beginning. And you talk about your issues with the power level of Deku and all that stuff. I think so far the show handled that pretty well, because you get to the finale of season 1 and they pretty much show you All Might and how he works as a character, and that sort of shows you, okay, this is the ceiling in terms of the power level this show will ever probably reach. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I interpreted it.
No, it won't, because
Hey, like
because
For now,
Deku's
that's what
eventually
it feels
Deku is eventually going to become more powerful than All Might. That's the only way it can end.
They've literally come out and
that
said so.
that's kind of like the nature of his power, though, that it accumulates. So, like, obviously he'll become more powerful. But
Reset the
I definitely
universe.
see. Oh my god, I definitely see where you're coming from, Nitai, because where the anime has shown, it's like you start off with Deku as completely useless, and then he works out at the garbage dump, and then he becomes he breaks his arms, and then he starts breaking his fingers, and then he learns full cowl. So you're seeing like a progression of like development physically. But like, I don't want to go into super spoiler territory, but like now we're at full cowl, and we know where the end goal around is All Might's ability. So going from full cowl to All Might, that progression is taking a super long time in the manga, and it's also just you can imagine that it's like really boring because there's no intermediary. It's just like, I use a little bit of my power, I use a little bit more. Ooh, I use a little bit more. Oh my god, so interesting. How much power can I use? It's just really boring.
That's just... Yeah, keep
it's
going.
also visually just boring as well. It's just like, oh, you punch harder. So interesting. Not interesting.
So, I haven't read the manga, all I know is what I watched, but at least, like, the sort of, you could say, upgrade to full cowling was interesting because it fundamentally changed how we use this power, but then you kind of thought to yourself, oh, this makes sense, like, how come we never did it before? I thought it was a really interesting upgrade. you talk about how slow this process is going to be. That's probably something they knew from the start when they wrote the manga, and they're like, that's just that's just how it works. I guess with Shonen Jump, you're gonna stretch it for as long as you can.
Like, I don't mind if it's slow, but the process itself has to have like points where you feel fulfilled that he's improving, but I'm not seeing that in the manga. And like, I definitely agree that him upgrading from breaking his fingers to full cowl is well, like, no, I agree that it was an interesting use of the power, and I did like that upgrade, but I don't like where it goes after that, because I'm being vague on purpose because I don't want to be too spoilery, but I don't like it.
Yeah, maybe once we reach
Fine line.
season 3, there's more to talk about. But I don't think it's. I think MHA is a very flawed show. I don't think it's a bad shonen. I just think it's not amazing. It's just okay.
I definitely agree with you what you said initially, that MHA is not the worst shonen by a long shot. And that's what kind of pisses me off even more, because it to me it showed promise from the beginning, and I was definitely looking forward to where it wanted to go. But it just ended up being super generic and not trying anything, or not even trying anything new. You don't have to try new things to be good, but like not even delving deep into its own universe, and not even like doing decent storytelling. It was just it was just poor writing.
Thank God someone finally agrees.
I thought you had the setting and the premise had potential to have a really interesting universe, but they didn't go deep into it enough, and I think the writing is just really not riveting at all.
Once season 3 ends, I'm interested to pick up this conversation again.
Sure. Well, that was my rant on MHA.
Our yearly tearing into MHA. I love that idea.
It'll always come back. Season 3 will come back again with a new knife sharpened and ready.
Alex, shut up. You watched only 5 episodes.
I read 31 chapters of the manga. Fucker.
Sure.
I would like.
I still watched further of the plot.
Whatever. I would like to point out there is one thing that MHA does really well, and I probably should have brought this up during the strength section, but MHA has a really good soundtrack, and that's something that shonen tend to do really well as their soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
And they have really hot guys with hot characters.
We already talked about that.
No, but it needs to be mentioned.
No. I would like to talk about another weakness that I think shonen has, and I've kind of brought it up already, but that is episode count. There's some shonen that go on for fucking ever, and it's like at a point it seems like it's becoming just milking your audience just for whatever reason. I mean, there is no reason that One Piece needs to be 1,000+ episodes. There's no fucking reason that any story needs to be that fucking long.
I don't know. From what I heard, it's still pretty good, even so many chapters later. So I mean, good for them.
But how do you get someone new into that? I mean, that's a huge thing to pick up. 1,000
no clue.
episodes. How do you just wake up one day and say, "Yeah, I'm gonna get through One Piece in a couple days"? No, you're fucking not.
Just read the manga.
Yeah,
That'll
exactly.
take even longer.
No, it won't. It's faster. First of all, there's less chapters than there are episodes. Second of all, a chapter takes less than 24 minutes to read.
Well, that's very true.
Also, the manga has been consistently better from the anime.
It would have to be. I don't understand how anything could be worse than that. I mean, there are worse shonen out there than One Piece. Don't get me wrong, but I can't justify it. Like, I tried to watch it a long time ago, like in the mid-2000s. I tried to watch it because I knew there was a horrendous 4Kids dub that was done a long time ago before that. It's like, I didn't even watch it then. But then Funimation, I think, that came in and redubbed it, and the dub is actually pretty good, I guess, compared to what the old dub used to be. But I can't justify to myself sitting down and watching 1,000 episodes of anime for a show that I can't even stand the art style for.
I think that's just your personal issue.
Well, it is, obviously, because there's people that do it, but I don't understand why. And another one is Naruto. Like, I love Naruto. I'm kind of 50-50 on Shippuden, but I still finish it. I enjoy it more than I don't enjoy it. But it just seems that Boruto is just around to get the fucking money out of the fans. It just seems like they're trying to milk a dead cow.
I'm gonna severely disagree with that.
And that's, you know what, everyone says it's fantastic, it's a great continuation of the universe, and it may be, but I'm so burnt out on this universe and its characters, I was ready for it to be over. I thought Shippuden ended really well, and I thought it offered a really great conclusion to the series and the characters, and I was happy with it. I didn't need any more.
And the thing is, I think a lot of even Naruto fans, including myself, can actually agree with that. Like, they very well could have just ended it off there, and it would have been perfect.
Yeah? I mean, just the way Shippuden, in the center bit of Shippuden is kind of like, but you get to like the last, I'll say, quarter of Shippuden, and it gets really good, and those last like 10, 15 episodes are fantastic. And I just, why? With the way the show ended, and I don't want to spoil it, because I know there's a lot of people out there that still haven't seen the end of Shippuden. It's definitely worth finishing if you've already started it, and even if you halfway enjoy it. But just, and Boruto may be great, it may be fantastic, but I'm never gonna watch it because I am done with these characters. I am satisfied with how Shippuden ended. I'm satisfied with where we left off with these characters. I'm satisfied with what they showed the future to bring, and I was done. I don't need any more.
You can never have too much.
Yeah, you can.
Well, apparently you can.
Season 3.
Oh, God,
No,
can we
never again. God.
Never again. Never again. I am gonna laugh my fucking ass off if season 3 is horrendous. And
I'm probably going to enjoy it because I have zero expectations.
I am gonna laugh even harder if they retcon the ending of season 2. I am gonna laugh
like
my
they did with
fucking
season 1.
ass off.
It's consistent.
Sunrise, please don't ruin something so precious.
The thing is, we can fix this, because if it's shit, we can all just pretend it doesn't exist. It never happened.
No.
Season 3 never happened.
It's
Just like initial,
you can't stop it.
Just like initial D third stage, it never happened.
Deja vu.
Deja vu. I've been to space. Anyway.
Well, one of the biggest issues I have with shonen shows that is a big hurdle to get past is that the main characters tend to have a moral compass that is super simple, naive, preachy, unrealistic, and annoying. And it makes it so hard to take the show seriously when this petulant little brat is just like spouting these stupid like platitudes, and I'm like, fucking grow up, god damn it, what is this stupidity? And it's like basically every shonen has this.
Objection.
And, you know,
Hey, excuse me. Phoenix Wright is fantastic.
No, Edward Elric is one of the best characters ever, and is in a shonen. Let's face it, FMA is a shonen.
Oh yeah, I mean we've already talked about that, but yeah, it's definitely a shonen, and he has a moral compass. I wouldn't say it's incredibly simple. I mean, he's basically responsible. I was about to make
like he and his brother fucked up, mainly him, and he's just trying to fix what he.
Mainly him.
I
like that low
I'm
key.
serious.
I like that low key assigning blame. That was really good.
Oh, too much.
That low key is like it was. They both fucked up, and it was mainly him. He goaded his brother into doing it.
But it's
Well,
true,
his brother's just a hop along now.
Anyway, and you watch episode 1, and he meets Rose, and I fucking love that episode. In at least the original show, FMA kind of messed that up. But anyway, and you watch this first episode, and he's just like the most cynical asshole ever. And it's like, yeah, and fucking science and shit and stuff, and it's great. He doesn't have like this sort of moral compass, but he's
the Bill Nye the Science Guy of the Full Metal Alchemist universe.
But you know what I mean, right? It's like his character is so deep and complex. I fucking love it. So when I hear like almost all shonen main characters are just garbage, it's like, it's not true. You have fucking Edward Elric here.
The thing I like about FMA's main character is that when he was a petulant little piece of shit was before the anime actually started, like when he was a child and he was trying to revive his mother, that's when most shonen start. And then he experienced a trauma, and then he matured from that, and now we're starting with the matured version.
Yeah.
So like they skipped the like bullshit.
They
so
skipped the brooding
I'll
teenager part.
Yeah, no, the like idealistic. Everything can be right if I try hard enough. No, people die. Okay.
No, you little shit. That's not how it works.
Exactly. So I will give FMA that, but there are a lot of other issues with FMA.
MFA?
Motherfucking ass is what
FFMA?
MFA is. There are other issues I have with FMA, like, okay, it's kind of correlated with how the main character already went through his maturing stage, but like from the point that we start to see him in the anime to the end, I don't really see him mature from there. Like, there's no growth, there's no change in like character. I find him like a really static and boring character to me,
What?
honestly. And I don't really, it's like it's hard for me to root for him. Like, I don't care about him. He's not interesting at all, and I don't see him grow that much. So that's an issue for me with FMA. And another issue I have.
I'm confused.
Let me just change this from the MHA rantcast to the FMA rantcast.
Show, you need to rewatch FMA, I'm telling you.
I've watched both versions, okay?
No, now
I'm
you
pretty
need to
sure-
rewatch both of them.
I will admit my memories of the original are a bit hazy, but I remember the Brotherhood pretty accurately. Anyways, so moving on from that, I have another issue with FMA, which is a general issue I have with shonen. With most shonen, in that a lot of shonen are biased towards male-centered stories, which I know is a tendency that like most media have, but it's way more prevalent in shonen because, well, obviously it's for boys allegedly. And I see that in FMA, where I don't know why a lot of people think Winry is a good character, but she's not. She's like such a tokenistic waifu.
Say
on
that
the side.
again.
Oh man.
Oh,
She is
gosh.
such a horrible
You
character.
done fucked up
Winry
now.
is an independent... What? Independent woman.
What did you say? What did you
She's a strong person. She doesn't need anyone. She can handle herself. And aside from that, she's fucking hot. I can...
say?
Man.
You and your fetish for blonde girls. Jesus Christ.
You and your fetish
What can
for
I say?
Onechans.
What?
For Onechans.
Oh, Nate.
Anyway,
Okay,
I
well-
would totally disagree with you on that one. I don't think Winry is a bad character at all. Like, 'cause
Okay, but,
for
like,
most of
we get
Brotherhood, she tries and like pushes to see, like, to find out what's going on, and she tries to contribute and like whenever she can.
Like, we get introduced to her as being a tsundere for Edward.
Not really.
So you can't really say that she's like romantically independent because we get introduced to her as the obvious love interest. Like, oh, of course, she's like unnaturally mean to Edward and like hitting him with like wrenches and everything and being like cold to him. Come on, she's like the stereotypical tsundere when we first see her.
Not really. I
And-
don't think it's that like shallow when you first see her. I really don't, because they're like childhood
I'm
friends.
pretty
So it's sort of, I don't know. I get like I sort of bought into their relationship like very quickly. I thought it worked really well.
I guess. And like, I get the idea that, you know, she's a mechanic, she has her trade. But, you know, in the context of FMA, which is not a mechanic show, FYI, it is a shonen battle show. She doesn't have any independent, like, in the context of a battle show, she's not a fighter. And it's hard for me to put her on the same level as Edward. Because this isn't a type of show that being a mechanic matters. So she just feels peripheral, and she feels really like tokenistic, and I don't
So
know.
what you're saying
Wait.
is in
rubbed
the
me the wrong
general
way.
realm of shonen, you don't like the token characters
I
that
don't.
are there,
and
that
I
are there
see
to
it a
serve a
lot.
very specific purpose.
I don't. Okay, more specifically, I don't like the token female love interests for the male characters that are clearly not given adequate development or given like screen time or anything. They're just there to be like, oh, I'm a love interest. I'm like,
Just
"Great."
to, because I totally disagree with what you said about Winry's role in the entire show.
Here we go.
Because
Get your popcorn ready.
Yeah, right. But because she's totally not just the mechanic. Unlike a show like, say, SAO, where each girl is defined by her trade,
Actually,
Winry is
SAO
much more than that. Like, as sort
Asuna's
of.
better than Winry.
What did you say?
Asuna is a better portrayal of a female love interest than
honey,
Winry.
Fuck off.
honey,
bro,
honey.
what?
Anyway,
You have never said anything so wrong in your life.
boy. Okay. Like, what I was trying to say is Winry in FMA is sort of, if you wanna like put it into sort of a role she serves, you could say, the story. Winry serves as sort of a reflection of the Elric brothers, like sort of. She's a reflection of their actions on the world on a more personal level, you could say. Whenever they do something that sort of touches other people, it also affects Winry by extension of that. And you can see that throughout the show, how their sort of relationship not only evolves, but also like the sort of small milestones they reach. Not only Edward and Winry, but also Alphonse and Winry, because that's also a very strong connection that they have. So I would disagree saying that she's nothing but a mechanic. I would say a mechanic is like a part of her character, but she's more than that. That is just what she does. Aside from that, she's
Okay.
like a really fleshed out character with a purpose and role. And yeah, I think she's much more than a token character. Which yeah, Shonen has a lot of that, but FMA is a show that actually manages to not do that.
I can see your argument, and I agree that she definitely serves a relevant purpose as a character in the overall story. But I think that her purpose is mismatched as a love interest, and I think it's an inappropriate. I think that her role in the story is inappropriate to be treated as a love interest because I feel that she's. I can't help but feel that she's inferior to Ed because like if we look at their net worth, if we put net worth on Ed and net worth on Winry, like Ed would be like through the roof and Winry is like replaceable. So I can't see them as love interests. And I see it so many times in shonen where the female love interest is like some replaceable character whereas the main character is some special interesting person. And it doesn't have to be that they're physically powerful. It's like the physical power is what I'm talking about in FMA, but also like the level of development. I guess they are equal in the level of development and then they get none. But like I see a lot of the time where like the main character gets so much development and then the female side character that's your love interest is not developed at all. And I'm like, but why? How this just feels so like you're treating the woman as inferior and like, oh, they're just there, which I guess does kind of reflect the perceived mindset of a boy. I guess I'm trying to understand why this is happening, but that's something that pisses me off about shonen. And you know, the thing that a shonen could do to resolve this is take a note from Twin Star Exorcist, which
Yes.
The best shonen ever,
Yes.
according to show.
which balances the romantic relationship of the male main character and the female love interest perfectly, and balances their power, their development, and everything, and makes it feel very appropriate and doesn't make it feel like the woman is inferior and makes it feel like an equal relationship that I can actually see happening and I can actually feel involved in. It doesn't feel tokenistic, and that's what you should watch Twin Star Exorcist, everyone. And also that all the shonen should also strive to be like Twin Star Exorcist, because I'm tired of seeing all of these flimsy, useless, undeveloped, basic bitches up in my shows. Okay, stop with the basic bitches. I need the bad bitches. Okay.
I never thought
That's
I'll
my
ever
rant.
hear someone say Asuna is a better character than Winry.
I've never heard anything so stereotypically wrong ever.
But okay, like if you look, if
You want to talk about replaceable characters? Asuna is like
No.
right at the top of that
Asuna is
fucking
literally
list.
dependent on Kirito Jesus to like do everything for her.
Okay, but if you take like let's take just season 1, and you go into the into the SAO database or whatever, and you like rank Asuna and rank Kirito, they're gonna be like similar ranks. Like Asuna can like fend for herself if she's by herself.
No.
And so can Kirito.
But
Not true.
But she won't fight unless Nichan is right there to watch her.
Exactly. Like it gets to a certain point, which, by the way, SAO does something that I think is pretty cool, and it actually establishes relationship between Asuna and Kirito very early on. And actually, in season 2, it's a hard, but never mind. Season 1. But then you get to a point once their relationship is sort of like it's a thing where Asuna is just dependent on Kirito all the time. Like it doesn't like. Yeah, sometimes they like throw a scene where she attacks someone. It's like, oh yeah, look at my waifu. She's so independent and strong. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Which is,
It's
you know
so
what?
fucking stupid because
You know
she's
what?
just
That's
like
exactly.
I'll-
That's exactly how she's introduced. She's introduced as this really fierce, independent woman, and then the second she sees Kirito, it's like, oh, I can't do
My
anything
God.
without his approval.
ugh. It's so disgusting.
Well, okay. I will be the first to admit that SAO is definitely not a perfect portrayal of anything
yeah,
at all.
anything.
But it is definitely better than a lot of other shonen
Oh hell.
No.
in some aspects. Okay, like I said, well, yes, I agree that Asuna does rely on Kirito a lot, but she's still a canonly powerful, independent person and fighter or gamer.
Until she's not, because in the
Until- no,
second
she
arc they
is.
just like fuck her over.
She is until she meets Kirito.
Yeah, but that doesn't have anything to do with her fighting ability, because like she was coded to be.
Yes,
stuck in
it
there.
does. She can't do anything. And then they're like, ooh, let's try and get it a bit more interesting and let her try and escape. But she doesn't do shit because the story won't let her. It's like, yeah, stay in your fucking cage.
Yeah,
Don't
the
go anywhere.
story won't let her, but it's still canon that she's a good gamer.
But she needs.
Yeah.
I
she needs
understand. There are a
daddy.
lot of flaws, but there are definitely things that I appreciate about SAO.
I think you're reaching with this
Yeah, I
with
think
this
you
one.
you are really reaching
No,
toward the
I'm
bottom
pretty
of the
sure-
barrel.
I'm pretty sure like the intent of Asuna's character was to be a powerful, like
Tsundere.
flip side of Kirito. No, fuck you. Okay. A powerful flip side of Kirito and his equal, not his bitch. But she turned out to be his bitch, but she was intended to be his equal.
Well, that's all
like
well and
I can
good, but
see that
intentions
was the
don't pay the
intention.
fucking bills.
Well, okay, honey, like the other shonens that do this don't even have that intention. So it's better that like they tried.
At least
okay?
the other shows are fucking honest about it.
Oh, yeah, being an honest sexist is better than being a failed feminist. No, thank you. I'd rather try a
being
failed
an honest
feminist.
being an honest sexist is better than being a fake non-sexist.
I guess
Whatever.
Shadowla wants to
even-
talk.
No, I'm just trying to process that logic, and it's like, okay, I guess. I don't know.
Shut the fuck
Both
up.
seem pretty
It
terrible.
makes sense.
It makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense in your mind, maybe.
And that's all that matters.
Once we stop recording, I'm gonna go ahead and pick just like some episode of Brotherhood and rewatch it, and yeah, it will be fucking awesome because everything in that show is fucking great except for the beginning. But anyway, I just totally disagree with you on that point.
Probably. I know all you Winry stands don't really understand what a good shonen is.
Yeah, because Cardboard
can I-
Asuna
what
is
can I
such a
get?
great
Cardboard
character.
Asuna, I fucking love it.
Bruh.
Cardboard.
Kirito Jesus, please, what should I do next? Ugh.
Oh, Nichan, what should I do next?
Guys, chill.
Baka.
He needs to know, Nichan, do you want 2 years worth of semen to glop inside me?
Oh god,
Oh
no.
god.
Fucking
Oh.
go. Just leave.
Oh god.
You had to go there.
Asuna is the glopping noise that in SAO. She just is.
NSAO. Okay, do we have anything other to, or anything else to ship on?
To
Oh my
ship?
God.
Shit.
I mean, there are many shonen ships I could tell you about.
That's a
Do we
whole
have anything
nother
else to
podcast.
shit on for
Jonathan Joestar and Zappelli.
Nani? There was another one, but I've completely forgotten it. I just keep thinking about the fucking glopping noises.
Oh god.
That's what shonen needs. Shonen needs more glopping noises. Clearly.
Well, if you have nothing, I can continue my FMA rant.
Nope.
I'm ready.
No, we've heard more than enough of that.
Okay, please
bitchiness.
continue then.
There is one thing.
Blasphemy.
I would like to point out that, and it seems to happen more so with shonen or shonen-like anime and manga than anything else, is that they obviously, because they're one of the most popular genres, they tend to build up a bigger fan base. I mean, you look at the state of things now. I mean, there's a lot of MHA fans. There's a lot of Boruto fans out there. I mean, and every season there's always the one shonen that everyone's like, just next coming of Christ. But I would say that shonen fandoms tend to be slightly more toxic than other genres fandoms. I'm not saying all the time. I'm just saying it tends to happen more so with shonen than any other genre.
The fans imitate the screaming profanity.
You know what? There might actually be something to that. I don't know if it's because the fan base tends to skew younger. I mean, I'll tell you what I mean by this. Like, back in the mid-2000s, there was the big three. You had Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece. Some of the most toxic fandoms you will ever see came during those times. I mean, you could not be a fan of more than one, because if you were seen as betraying one over the other. And I do think it has to be with the fact that these fandoms tend to skew slightly younger. I mean, there are people 20, 30, 40 years old that watch shonen, sure. But the people who are most vocal tend to be the younger crowd. And I think that's why you see so much toxicity with some shonen fandom. Not all, but there's definitely a few out there. And I'll give you a really good example. Now, I'm not saying anyone here, but I'm saying I have talked to other people who are really into MHA, and I try and point out some of the flaws that it has, and it's like, oh my god, you just don't understand, you're too stupid to understand. It's like, really? How do we have a debate when that's our starting point?
I think that's less with the fan base and more just some people love a show that much that they don't see the flaws in it.
Well, I'll give you a good example. I love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I think it's fantastic. I think it's funny. I think it got great action sequences, all that. Do I expect everyone who watches it to love it? No. I don't expect most people that watch it to even understand it. I mean, hell, I've read every single part of the manga, and there's things I still don't understand. Like, what the fuck does King Crimson do?
Let's not get into it.
But, I mean, I don't expect every single person that picks it up to absolutely love it like I do. I don't even expect most people who pick it up to even like it. And even if you don't, I'm not going to say, oh my god, you're so stupid, you don't understand. I mean, that's such a toxic position to take. I mean, if you don't like it, you don't like it. One show, one manga is not going to be for fucking everyone. Get the fuck over it. Anyway, that's my rant with that over. I mean, do any of you ever see that when you talk to other people about shonen?
Yeah, sure. I mean, and more recently, yeah, with MHA, I talked a lot to some people that,
Your mouth.
Sure, I think it's a very flawed show, and whenever I talk about, some of the things I'm kind of disappointed with, it can come down to, oh, you just don't like the show that much, and I'm like, no, I love it. It's just, I think it's not as good as it can be. Sometimes you need to remember that you can still criticize something that you love.
Oh, absolutely.
And when you do that, especially if it's something that you make yourself, you can get better as a creator, you could say. That's just a side note, though. But yeah, I don't think this is something exclusive to shonen fans. That's just a lot of people. Generally,
it's not exclusive, but I do tend to notice it slightly more with shonen fandoms than with other genres. I mean, I very rarely hear a fandom from a shoujo romance be all sycophantic about their shows. Unless you're insulting their ships, then God help you.
I'm sure there's a lot of toxic Fujoshi fans.
Oh, absolutely there is.
Free.
Oh my god, the free fan. Jesus fucking Christ. You cannot have an honest debate with a free fan. I'm sorry, you just can't.
Nope.
Hell,
just
it's
won't
hard
go with
enough
the flow.
having a debate with a Yuri on Ice fan.
Oh god, I was about to say.
Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, I love the couple too, but get over it. It never happened.
Wow.
I'm surprised you can actually stand
Wait,
to
what
say
couple
that.
are you talking about?
I can't say.
Wow. You're gonna get hate?
It's JJ and the rest of the world.
JJ. King
fuck
JJ.
Canada?
It's JJ style.
Ugh.
I like to point out the only Canadian character in the show, and you fucking hate him.
I love JJ. It's fucking awesome. Praise Mamoru Miyano.
I want to get.
I hate Mamoru.
I want to get a shirt that says JJ style on it so bad.
Ugh.
Maybe with a
Yes,
maple
please.
leaf on it.
You're so disgusting. Okay, well, I guess we should wrap this up by asking the final question of, has the shonen genre become tired and overused, or is it timeless?
Ooh.
Wow, everyone just that collective sigh. My God. Wow.
Personally,
Shinoda, I missed you so much.
love you too, babe. I personally think, even with how things are, that shonen genre will be timeless. It will just stand to be as it is, just because of the sheer amount of fans, the amount of creative ideas that happen over time. I think it will keep on going for at least 20 more years. Pretty strong.
Oh,
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
you. I thought you had more.
No, I thought I got kicked out or something, but yeah, anyway. Sorry. No, that's what I think personally. What do you guys think?
I want to say that shonen is complete trash and everything should be burned and put in the dumpster. But like this show, there's these handful of shows that I think are just amazing, and they're the only good thing that the shonen genre has ever produced, like Hunter x Hunter and Haikyuu. So
we went through this
I
whole
say
show
just,
without
like,
talking about sports anime.
Yeah, well, anyway, I say just like burn everything except for the good ones.
I mean, I think the genre itself is gonna be around for a long time. I don't think that's gonna change. I do think there are other genres that are starting to become more prevalent that may challenge its like reign of superiority. I
Like
mean,
moe,
there's been a big surgence of seinen shows recently.
Aidoru,
Huh?
I didn't even know I dropped
Aidoru.
out of the call. I'm
Oh
sorry.
yeah. Welcome back.
Oh god.
We didn't notice.
I was saying something deep and stuff.
Well, get a better internet connection. I think that there's other genres that could be coming soon. Like I already mentioned seinen. I think there's been a really good showing of just general action shows that don't necessarily revolve around like shonen, like actual grown up human beings being the center of a fucking anime. I mean, what are the odds? But I think you're going to see more of that challenge shonen's superiority in the next few years, especially seinen. I think that's where it's going to be. That's where the focus is going to be more so than it is shonen eventually. Maybe not for several years, but
I guess with the low birth rate, they're gonna have to stick with the demographic they initially targeted and follow them into their older years.
Damn.
You know.
yeah.
Can
I mean,
I say one last thing
Too
about
real?
shonen?
I mean, I didn't want to bring up something so sure, we'll go with that.
Anyway, like the point I was trying to make before I dropped out of the call, I think shonen will stick around for a long time because it does have some qualities that that resonate with a lot of people. I remember watching Dragon Ball Z as a kid, and something that sort of really resonated with me is that notion that something that I got out of it was that notion of like always trying to push through like the bad shit and rise into the occasion, and just trying to be a better person. Like yeah, in that show it was a lot of screaming and punching and stuff, but it was a lot of moments that felt sort of like you get pushed down and kicked while you're on the ground, but you still get back up and try and go at it again. And it's something that as a kid it really kind of struck a chord with me, and I think that's one of the big appeals of shonen to a lot of people. And yeah, it might sound a bit cliche and stuff, but here we are so many years later, and shonen is still here. So I don't know. So yeah, that's my take on it.
I guess that's all we have to say for tonight. Thank you all out there for dropping in to listen to us, and we hope you enjoyed it because we always enjoy bringing it to you. If you want to check out our previous episodes of the podcast, you can find us both on SoundCloud and on iTunes. If you want to keep up with what we're doing and have some fun, you can join our Facebook group, follow our Twitch channel, or visit our website. If you have any questions, comments, or criticisms for this or any of our episodes, feel free to shoot us an email. Links to all these things will be down below in the description.
Holy fuck, you
I have
sound
been-
professional.
Oh, okay. If you say so. I have been your host, Sho, and I will see you next time. Say goodnight, everyone.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey,
Shadow
guys.
of War is amazing!
Oh my god.
Nah.
Guys, don't believe in me. Believe in the me that believes in you.
Oh my fuck. Yes! Bitch, yes!
Alright, that's it. That's all I got.
So we can stop now.
Yes.